Ve evet, ilk sunumlarımıza geçeceğiz. Hazır mıyız bu anlamda? Evet. İki önemli isim var ilk sunumda. FERAH SALEH, BBC Media Action'dan ve bir diğer yandan MK Solutions'dan SHAWALY. Alkışlarla kendilerini sahneye davet ediyoruz.
Guys, does this work?
Yes, yeah, it works.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like first to start out by saying thank you so much. Thank everyone working at this university for making it happen, for bringing us here. We're very excited. First time in Cyprus, on this side of the island. I'll tell you a story about this later.
The other side.
Very excited, and today we're. Well, you introduce yourself first before we go into...
It's great to be here, especially among you guys. I love the weather. That's one point. Might go for a swim later. My name is FERAH SALEH. I'm currently a social media manager of BBC Media Action North Africa office. We've been working on different projects. I'll tell you a bit more later about that. But a quick glance of who I am. I studied dentistry. Okay, I know that's a shock. It's always the same every time. I graduated from dentistry in Universitesi. I left Libya after the situation there, looking for other opportunities. And I ended up in Tunis with BBC Media Action as a trainee. Being trained on different kinds of media, mainly it was TV, producing and directing, but I had this interest in social media and I started pulling out numbers and analytics of the page and checking how many people were commenting, and I found it really exciting. I updated myself on social media. I was always updating myself, always reading more about it, and then after 6 months of training I was offered, or a position opened for social media manager at BBC Media Action Libya. I applied and I've been working as social media manager now for more than 2 years.
Well, since you presented yourself, you introduced yourself. I forgot to introduce myself. SHAWALY, founder of MK Solutions. We work mainly we use social media as a very effective tool to help our clients achieve their goals in North Africa and Western Europe. It's mainly within North African communities around the world. Before that, I also had the pleasure to work for BBC Media Action. Before that, I worked for the United Nations.
That's where we met.
That's why we were met, exactly. But I have a business degree and a master's in political science, so I combine both private sector and the public sector. I think that's about it. We're going to talk about what are we going to talk about today?
So. Me and Moses, when we were on our way, we were always talking about social media. We were always, making fun about, sometimes about people who don't use social media. I mean, my brother, he deleted the Facebook app off his phone a while ago, and then after 2 weeks he got it back because there was some group, because he's a web developer, and there's some group that he couldn't miss the news on it. So he was like, I give up, I have to go back to Facebook. So, for that example, we have something to show you.
Well, exactly. Before that, we just very quick overview. We're going to talk about social media in North Africa. We're going to give you an overview of the numbers, where people are at, how, and then after that we'll go on to talk about applications of social media for both private sector and for the international organizations working in the development of North Africa. But before we start talking about that, we would like to show you a video, and like to get your opinion on it.
Let's not say much about it, but maybe you have something to say about it.
Can we?
Sarah thought she met the perfect man.
No, it's a cute photo of us. Let me tag you.
Look what she got.
Oh, not on Facebook.
Was the perfect nightmare.
What?
Yeah, no, not many.
Social media.
happening?
Oh, not on Facebook.
Can't find him anywhere.
Yeah, no, not many social
How am I
media.
supposed to find pictures of his ex?
So Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, he's not on anything?
Well, how does he send you a dick pic?
He doesn't. I've only ever seen his dick. In person.
Oh my god!
I don't know what to do. Oh, I took a great picture of my boobs earlier. And I don't know what to send it to.
It's gonna be okay.
Is it? Is it?
They don't know what he did last summer because it's not on Facebook.
He's untraceable. He's completely off the grid. A ghost, if you will. He's not on Insta, LinkedIn, or Pinterest. And if you think he's on SnapMap, you're crazy.
I mean, the man has no digital footprint. He's never even had a MySpace.
Who is he?
I don't know.
Oh, not on Facebook.
What?
Yeah, no, not many social media.
You know you like have an opinion on something. How do you voice it?
I'm not supposed to just tell it to the nearest person.
What is this?
I think it's an actual photo album.
Where's the comment section? How does he know if people like them? Oh my god, none of the photos have filters on them. Oh!
Get out of there, Sarah. Get out of there now.
So yeah, I guess you get the idea of how some people would react when you say like, no, I'm not on Facebook. Somebody says like, no, I don't use Facebook. I don't have a smartphone, so.
Just out of curiosity, how many of you is not or are not on social media here?
Wow.
2 out of over 100, probably 2 or 3 people. How many of you don't have a smartphone? Just out of curiosity. 1 person. Amazing. Cool.
At least you got a laptop, right? Good.
That's great. We're going to talk about North Africa. Is there anyone from North Africa here? Please raise your hand.
Make some noise.
Just 1 person. 2, 3. Libyans? No Libyans? Tunisians? Algerians? Moroccans?
Aman is our friend. He's a filmmaker, so he's taking some shots, and hopefully we'll see a documentary later on.
Yes, a colleague from MK. All right, let's talk about North Africa, starting with Libya, which is one of your main expertise, because you work at BBC Media Action with focus on Libya and Tunisia. So let's start with Libya.
So today we're going to talk about at least I'm going to talk about social media in North Africa. I thought about specifically talking about Libya and Tunisia. Firstly, because that's mostly what I work on, and it's also because they're quite different in politically and in the infrastructure and the way that people use the internet in both countries. So we're gonna check some numbers and figures about both countries, and then I'm gonna emphasize on what's the difference between the two. So first we're gonna start with Libya. I got these numbers from the internet, from Hootsuite, where social, they always publish these case studies at the end of the year. This was on January 2017. So as you can see, in Libya we have 3.2 million internet users, which is 50% of the population. And then what's really amazing is that the same 3.2 million are also active social media users. So that way we can say whoever's using the internet is using social media. I actually sometimes tell my friends that in the future, I think the new generation, they're going to stop using the word internet. They're going to stop saying, I'm going to go, I don't know. We used to go to the internet cafe, but now there's no internet cafes. People are going to say, I'm going to go on Facebook, or I'm going to use Snapchat. So it's social media. I think social media is going to be the internet, or it is the internet. It's just internet is the platform that holds social media inside it. And another interesting figure is the active mobile social users. So that means people who are using mobile phones for social purposes, not specifically social media, but social purposes in general. If we check the next slide, so these are numbers from Facebook. These numbers might be different now, but this was in January. So we have 3.2 million on Facebook, which are, I mean, we have 3.2 million using internet, 3.2 million using social media,
So basically
and 3.2,
on
yeah, everybody's on Facebook.
Facebook.
What this tells me is it's very important for the organizations and for businesses and for people, any people who have a product or have a message that they want to deliver to the people. It's important to check these numbers, to study your audience. We have this value at BBC in the Action which says audience is at the heart of what we do. So depending on your audience, you choose the platform or the kind of content that you want to deliver. So in this case, if somebody asks me, I want to do a social media campaign in Libya, what platform should I choose? I mean, there's a lot of platforms, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, so many. But I would say go Facebook in Libya, because that mainly is what Facebook, mainly what Libyans use. At one point, some guy went into a shop and he was asking the guy in the tech shop, he was like, do you have a Facebook? He thought a laptop is Facebook, so I mean, that's
synonymous of...
Yeah, because he sees his friends using that, so he just thought that was Facebook.
Just very quickly, I lived in Libya for a year before the war, and my first encounter with Libyans, you would go to an international conference organized by United Nations. You have politicians, Libyan politicians, coming up to you and not asking you for your email address, professional email address. They would ask you for your Facebook account. Now, at first, that's very shocking because you think, what? I just met you and you want to have my Facebook name and you want to befriend me on Facebook. But then a few weeks later, actually, I came to realize that Facebook is the internet for Libyans, which means actually a lot of possibilities for international organizations, for business, and for development organization, because this is the main platform. This is where people are on. So if you want to send a message out there, engage with your audience, engage with your clients, you need to be on Facebook.
Yeah, so another interesting figure is percentage of Facebook users accessing via mobile, which is 88% in this case. I'm pretty sure if you check even here in Turkey or in Cyprus, that you will find like most people access social media and Facebook through their mobile devices. This is a very important figure because a lot of people now, there's a lot of content created that's posted on social media, but a lot of people create that content as if it's going to be viewed on a TV screen or a laptop screen. Also some TV channels, they still create social media content that looks TV. It's different. TV is different than social media because social media is going to be viewed on the phone. Actually, a lot of websites, a lot of social media platforms are going vertical video. They're going circular video because vertical video will take more size of the screen than a normal horizontal video, 16 by 9. So 88% of people on mobile phone means that we need to think about the kind of content that's going to be viewed on a phone. It's not going to be viewed on a TV or a laptop. 44% are using Facebook every day, and then we have 37% women, 63% men. I'm also guessing that the woman number is increasing now. On El Kul, which is our platform on BBC in the Action.
What does it
we
do?
Yeah, it's a platform for impartial and balanced news and social media content. So we have a fan base of 40% women, 60% men, and we're always trying to keep that women engagement up.
Which is very positive as well for the Libyan context, right?
So next is Tunisia. So before we go to Tunisia, let's explain something. So in Libya, there's a problem with the infrastructure. Internet is not really available to everybody. The internet is not really fast. It's also a bit expensive. So that decreases the usage of social media in Libya, and it also confines the way people view content. So if you ask me like, I want to create content for Libya, what content would be best? Is it video? Is it picture? Is it GIFs or animation? I would say the most popular kind of content in Libya now is still pictures because it loads easier, loads faster, so you can engage with your audience through still pictures. So that's something to put in mind. The place that I'm targeting, do they have internet connection? Can I do a live stream, for example, for Libyans? A live stream. Live stream needs at least a broadband connection of 4G, so they can get the sound and the audio very well, because usually they'll have cuts because of buffering. But in Tunisia, it's different. In Tunisia, the infrastructure is really good. The internet is very available. It's much cheaper. It's even cheaper than here. That's one of the things I like about the internet in Tunis. So in Tunisia, YouTube is very popular because people can actually view video, and video is I think now it's the main content of social media. I mean, everything is video now. It's all about shooting video. So in Tunisia, 56% of the population are using internet, 56% again are active social media users, and we have 5.6 million using mobile for social. And then on Facebook, we have 6.4 million on Facebook monthly. Again, we can see Facebook is kind of dominating, at least in the North Africa region, at least in Libya and Tunis and Tunisia. Facebook is kind of in the front row of social media. And then 88% using mobile, 55% using it every day, and we have a bit more women here using social media in Tunisia than in Libya. Yeah, so we go to our next slide. Okay, so these numbers kind of ring a bell. I mean, are people still watching TV? Are they depending on radio? I mean, radio and TV are still there, and they're always going to be there. I mean, radio has been there for a long while, but when TV came out, there was a shift of attention of marketing, of the businesses from radio to TV, because TV is offering something that radio is not offering, which is picture and sound. So you have more options to express yourself, to express your idea. Okay, in the past years, with the appearance of social media is offering something that TV doesn't offer. Can anybody guess what that is? Feedback, interaction. Sorry?
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah?
So the possibility of targeting?
Yeah, so I mean, social media is offering a two-way channel with your audience. So engagement is not just one-way channel like a newspaper or traditional media like TV or radio. You're just listening in your car. If you want to express yourself, you just either shout alone in your car or you just talk to your friend next to you. Just as we saw in the video earlier. So there's a two-way channel engagement, and it's directly with your audience, either your customer or the viewers. So you're engaging directly. People feel like they have a direct connection with you. That's one thing. I heard somebody say audience. So targeting audience, I mean, that's another thing. So on social media, you can target specific age group, specific gender, specific region. So you can talk to people in their language in a specific place. What's really strong about social media is the live analytics and the live statistics that you can get. I mean, you post something, after an hour you can check how many people commented, how many people like this, how many people hate this, how many people are actually sad and happy and wow about this. So that kind of data is very, very useful for us to develop, or for organizations to develop the content, to know what's good, what's not working. So I mean, it's really precious what kind of data you can get about your audience. It's not, it's different, because on radio and TV, they used to do all these surveys. Nobody likes filling surveys, right? So I think
also
social media,
surveys might not be as accurate
as
data on social media. Also, one more thing, just for political science students, social media is actually, it's bringing democratization. It's more democratic than the traditional TV station, where TV stations are more centralized. They're owned by businessmen, rich businessmen or governments. Now social media is giving you a more democratic way of expressing yourself. It's more decentralized, and nowadays, and also gives you access to the whole world. So your source of information is not only the state TV, as in North Africa, for example, in the Middle East, where state TV dominated, monopolized information. Nowadays, you can access any information at any time of the day through social media. You can even interact with people overseas and locally.
It's made the world smaller, literally small. Okay, so I like this next slide, which I always say, social media is the new TV. So, I mean, it's where you get your ads, it's where you talk to your friends, it's where you watch your movies, where you watch your comedy, it's where you go to events. So, it's becoming the new TV. I want to talk a bit more about our project in Libya, which is Al-Kull. Al-Kull is a Facebook page. Al-Kull means everyone, for everyone. It's a news platform. We provide balanced, impartial news that are produced by Libyan trainees, young people who come from Libya to Tunis. We train them on producing and managing and measuring success of social media content, so that when they go back, they can actually practice social media. They can be an independent journalist if they want. They can improve the media sector in Libya. Actually, we have a number of our trainees that are actually now in very well-known TV channels in Libya.
Presenters? Yeah,
presenters. I'm going to show you a short video about Al-Kull, and it's a bit old. I think we were about a year and 3 months old that time.
Just before you do that, also notice that the dynamics between social media and traditional television. Now we're talking about a trainee who started training on social media and who ended up being a TV presenter. So even television, traditional TV channels are trying to adapt. They're getting the content, they're getting their people from social media. So, which is a very interesting data as well to realize how fast social media is growing and how we should embrace it more than we are doing now.
Yeah. So the next video is it's in Arabic with subtitle. We'll tell you more about what Al-Kull is.
Can we dim the lights a little, please?
قناة الكل هي أحد المشاريع اللي تعمل عليها BBC Media Action في ليبيا. القناة هذه هي عبارة عن قناة أونلاين وعبر مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. فيها فريق من ليبيين قاعدين يتدربوا مع ناس اشتغلت أو قاعدة تشتغل مع BBC، ونحاولوا نستفيدوا من خبراتهم باش ننتجوا برامج لها علاقة بليبيا، برامج إخبارية بالدرجة الأولى وأيضا برامج ترفيهية. انطلقنا من حوالي شهر على الفيسبوك والتويتر واليوتيوب، وإن شاء الله مخطط أن القناة هذه يوما ما تبث على الساتلايت.
طبعا كنا نشتغل قبل شوي على مقابل سكايب مع ناشط في مجال الحفاظ على التراث الثقافي في ليبيا. طبعا الموضوع هذا من خصوص التهديدات اللي جت لمتحف السرايا الحمراء، فدرنا معاه سكايب انترفيو وتوا قاعدين يمنجوا في المقابله هذه. اللي يميز واللي عجبني في الكل ان ما فيهاش سياسة بس، بالعكس فيها انترتينمنت، فيها اخبار رياضة، فيها اخبار عامة، فيها اخبار اجتماعية، فيها اخبار فنية، مهتمة بكل الأنشطة في ليبيا مش بس السياسة. طبعا المادة اللي تشوفوا فيها نازلة عندنا على الويب سايت أو على السوشيال ميديا تمر على أكثر من مرحلة.
فنبدأ كل يوم باجتماع في الصباح، ناقشوا فيه القصص أو الأخبار اللي حيتم تغطيتها خلال اليوم.
بعدين تمشي للمرحلة الثانية اللي هي مرحلة التحرير، وبعدين رئيس التحرير يشرف عليه الخبر.
وبعدها نتقسموا لمجموعات، في قصص تنزل تقارير إخبارية، وفي قصص تنزل مجرد مقال ومرفق بصورة.
بعدها يمر لو كان في سكايب أو كان في مصادر صور من ليبيا أو فيديوهات، بعدين يمر على المونتاج، يعني مجموعة من المراحل بعدين تشوفوها نازلة عندكم، يعني تاخذ مجهود قبل ما تنزل على الويب سايت أو على السوشيال ميديا.
Yeah, so that was a short idea about the call. I would like, before I hand the mic over, the mic. I like this, by the way. It's the first time I tried it. Yeah. Just quick figures. So this was like when it was maybe 2 months, 3 months old, the page, and we were at the very beginning. I'm very proud to say that like the last 28 days or the last month, we had more than 700,000 post engagements and more than 12,000 page followers. An increase. We have now more than 600,000 page followers, and we had more than 1 million video views just in 1 month, and that number is hopefully keeps going on. So we have a huge engagement on our page.
How do you define engagement? Just so to explain.
Yeah. Well. A lot of people define engagement. I mean by engagement comments. So it's comments, likes, shares. Sometimes we include the clicks, sometimes not. But at the moment, I think a lot of people measure the success of social media platform by engagements. But I'm personally starting to think about engaged users, because as I was telling you yesterday. I mean, if I have a post that has 100 comments, it might be 20 people, 50 people that made those 100 comments. But for me, a successful post would be a post that had 100 engaged users, with each one made a comment. But that means it mattered to more people. It was interesting to more people. So I think that is a successful post.
Exactly. So without being too technical, it's not about the number of fans that you have on your page, because you can have thousands are inactive that do not care about the content that you produce. It's about the number of the ratio. It's relative. It's about the number of engaged users. I would say maybe per 1,000. So per 1,000 fans on your page. See if you want to compare, if you want to understand if your content is doing well or not.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's like maybe when you want to buy a product off Amazon or eBay, I mean, would you choose a product that had 5 reviews and 6 stars?
Do not answer the question.
Yeah, or would you choose a product that had, I don't know, 100 reviews and maybe 4 stars? So
what would you guys choose? 4 stars with 100 reviews? Sorry, 3 stars with 100 reviews, or a product that has 5 stars with 2 reviews?
Yeah, so
what would you choose?
Yeah, the most reviewed. So
Perfect.
exactly. So it's. I mean, we measure the success or the quality of a product by the number of reviews, more than the review itself, which is maybe 4 or 5 stars, which and most of the time is not really relevant to the actual the quality of the product. So again, on a post, I would choose engaged users over post engagements. Yep. So. I guess we're gonna go to.
Exactly. So just to recap a bit, just a step backwards. So now we have talked about numbers, potential of social media, why social media is so important, and it's mainly we can conclude that it's important because it's where young people are. It's actually even there is an increasing number of people over 40. They are increasing on a rate that is higher than the rate that young people are. The number of users online is going. So that's a very interesting topic. So basically everybody. This morning we were talking to the dean, and he told us that he is also on social media, and he checks social media, which is a very positive. It's a very good news for everyone, because it means that he's democratic.
Yeah.
He understands the potential of it. So social media is where young people are. Social media is where your audience is. And we're talking about the North African context. Social media is where you can engage, but also learn about your target groups. And this was the main idea for MK Solutions. We started this year in January 2017. After my time at BBC, I realized that most of the international donors and the big companies that are investing, international companies that are investing in North Africa, are not really paying attention to the potential of social media. They didn't take it as seriously as they should. Even though they are working, especially in the case of United Nations, other donors, international donors who are putting money in the field to educate those young people, to help them, to help them get out of face problems and issues such as unemployment, radicalization, political disengagement. Even though they know that they are trying to help, they are forgetting about a very important tool. I would say it's actually, I would go as far as to say it's the most important tool to be used in addressing young people in North Africa. And this is where we decided to focus on convincing the international donors, CSR departments at private companies, CSR is corporate social responsibility, at private companies, that social media should be paid more attention to. Social media is trustworthy. You can get analytics very much easier than running a survey on the ground, taking a sample of the population. Now we have all the population is on social media, which means that it allows us to monitor and to know what's going on the ground in real time, which is useful. It's a golden opportunity for everybody working with young people in North Africa. Now, since we started, we have been focusing on two things. First thing is creating content that matters to young people, to the target groups of our clients, mainly young women and men in North Africa. And the other aspect of it was training. Not training only young people on how to use social media, but training policymakers, training NGOs, non-governmental organizations, on how to use the new TV, to shed light on their activities, to send out a message, but also to receive feedback from their stakeholders on the ground. So far, so good. People are starting, and I'm very happy to say it. People are starting to pay more attention to social media. They're starting to take it more seriously, as opposed to one of my first meetings that I had with a diplomat, without mentioning from where. He said that, oh, okay, you work on social media. Is that where you take selfies of yourself on the beach and having a coffee with your friends? It's like, no, this is actually when you engage with your stakeholders, where you engage with your audience, where you build awareness on very important topics. Addressing youth issues is one of the projects that we've worked on. We've worked on, in this project, we went out to a very disadvantaged, poor neighborhood in the outskirts of Tunis. We met with a very interesting guy who used to be unemployed, poor, living in the ghetto of Tunisia. He was then, he became a criminal. After becoming a criminal, he went to prison, came out of prison, was radicalized without committing any act of violence, but he was, he went back to, he thought that, the right religion is dismissing everything else and close himself in. But after he was radicalized, he came across social media as a very powerful tool to express himself. Now, self-expression it's very important for many young people there, because they have the impression that they are not being heard by the government or the communities where they live. So now, thanks to social media, they have now an open channel to the whole world to express themselves. This guy, he also realized that he has a talent. His talent was to write and sing hip-hop songs. We found him thanks to my filmmaker, he's right there, Aman. We made a little film about him. We also ran a campaign, an awareness campaign, targeting mainly young people in the outskirts of Tunisia, in the less advantaged ones, giving them under the hashtag viable alternatives. There are alternatives to extremism. There are alternatives to just sitting home and doing nothing. And these alternatives are, in the case of Hobeib, the alternatives were the Lee model, which is a model that we developed as well. It's leadership. He was a leader without knowing it. It's entrepreneurship. He became an entrepreneur thanks to social media. He knew how to market his brand, how to raise awareness about his brand as a rapper, as an artist. And the last E in Lee is the expression, self-expression. Thanks to social media, he was able to express himself cost efficiently, without any money, and to get out the message about his own life and his neighborhood. Do I just click here?
Yeah.
Next?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a video?
The video.
So how do you do? I'm gonna show you an excerpt of the film that we made.
Just click.
Here.
ماهيش الحمدية نقصدونها من نظرة باردة، الحمدية دمار وإرهاب ومخدرات، لا الحمدية عندنا ثقافة، احنا مش فنانين.
غبي في الراب ونعمل مسرح مش مهتم، سمع لي الإجرام بي في حياتي ملتزم.
خرج منها الحكاية ذيك وتحوم لي فرحوا على
كل شيء حرام، فما حتى ما نعرفش حتى تمشي في الشارع راهو حرام.
لا حسك ولا عطيني خدمة جدي وعرق جبيني.
بعديك خرجت من المرحلة ذي المظلمة إلى مرحلة النجاة. الراب فيقني على الدنيا ووراني شكون الباهي وشكون الخايف. جاء المسرح هو اللي حطني في وسط الدنيا.
ملهاش تطلع دعم ما عطوناش حياتنا الصحنة ما سمعوناش دخلك ما يضيع ما يضيع.
Right. So here he was talking about unemployment, the false image of his neighborhood that is always portrayed in the media as drugs, terrorism, but there's a lot of potential in this, in his neighborhood. Do we have time?
Yeah, it was 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. Well, I think I've covered, yeah, exactly, I felt it. We've covered entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, social media is very efficient for entrepreneurs. It's very efficient because it's cheap, it's cost efficient, cheap, but also it has a very wide range, which is optimal. You need to learn about this.
Short, just to comment on this.
Yeah.
This is my wife's business, and she's been when we first met, I introduced her to social media, and she's been using social media since. I mean, and it's been working great for her. It's she's directly in contact with her clients, and she didn't really need a shop or like on a high street or
no billboards.
Yeah, it's just like this is her boutique, like this is her front, her store on the high street, which is Instagram and Facebook. I wanted to tell you more about it, but yeah, let's
exactly wrap up.
We can talk about it.
Then another project that we worked on was with the police addressing youth issues, and it was the relationship between cops and young people in Tunisia. It's very sensitive, it's very problematic, but luckily, but actually within the police corps there are very positive examples of police officers who want to make a difference, who want to community police, improve the relationship between the police corps and young people. We also covered that very quickly. Now this is another application of social media is to spread a message, hopefully a positive message, and educating your audience about.
عملنا مع بعضنا دورة حلوة برشا بتاع كرة قدم.
Then Another project that we worked on is radicalization. Remember, we talked about the issues that are facing young people. It's mainly in Tunisia, in this specific topic of particular case of Tunisia. It's unemployment, it's the police, and then it's radicalization. Tunisia is sending the highest number of foreign fighters in Syria because they are coming from Tunisia. This is a major problem, not for Tunisians, for the Tunisian government and for the international community. The international community is putting a lot of money into the fight against terrorism, and yes, they are starting now, thanks to us and other organizations that are trying to tell them, to convince them of how important social media is in the fight against terrorism. This is another project that we worked on, bringing youth together for powerful conversations. Terrorism, this is a long film that we went with the border police in Tunisia, talk about terrorism, smugglers, drugs, and how they are financing terrorism in Tunisia, on the border between Tunisia and Algeria. This is mainly the conclusion, I would say. Social media facilitates discussions, inspires engagement, and inspires action and enables engagement. And this can be applied to private sector, to public sector, and to anybody really, on the personal or organizational level. Thank you. Well, we like to say,
I think
we're running out of time. So exciting, and wish we had more time too. Yeah.
My microphone's open? Yes, it should be open. It's not working.
No.
Is it working? Hello? Is it working? Oh, okay, it's working. Thank you very much for coming to Eastern Mediterranean University. And I think we're going to have a 10-minute Q&A session here.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, I was taking notes as you were giving your speech. I'm going to ask our audience to address any questions as they may have now. But my first question would be, you said there's democracy in social media. Could you please elaborate that? What do you mean by democracy when you use the word?
What I mean is that democracy means that everybody gets a chance in giving his or her opinion about a certain topic, about how they feel, what they are interested in, and what they want to do. Now, since social media offers this decentralization of media, and that is democracy. Now, the state TV, state organisms don't have monopoly on knowledge, on media. Social media is, again, as you said, two-way street. It's accessible to everyone. So,
is there any state access to social media by the government in Tunisia or Libya, trying to ban things in order to prevent the news dissemination, or any kind of collective activism, let's say?
Well, Libya is a bit tricky because they have quite a few governments. They have 3 governments right now, so it's very chaotic, so they don't really have much, correct me if I'm wrong, don't have much control. Tunisia is only the banned radical websites, but it's quite democratic. Tunisia is the first, I would say, the only democracy in the Middle East right now. It's getting better.
I think after the Arab Spring in Tunisia and Libya, I think it's very difficult for the government right now to control such a thing, because I think internet, social media is like cutting off water, electricity right now.
Are there any laws forbidding?
No, not as I don't think there's any like internet police or like laws on social media, but it's in Libya. They tried many times to stop to ban Facebook or YouTube, but it comes back at the end. But also, it hasn't happened for a while now.
Also remember that policymakers are catching up and starting to catch up on this topic of social media. It's been ignored. They didn't really believe in social media. Now they're starting to pay attention to social media.
So are there any political campaigns going on on social media?
In Tunisia, they're talking about laws that to just monitor some jihadi websites, that kind of things. Hate speech. I know that the Canadian ambassador, for example, friend of mine, she got very sexist, very hateful messages on her photos on the Canadian website, Facebook page. And after a lot of complaints, eventually the Tunisian police made an arrest, and they arrested the person who was behind that comment. So all that, you know, the more people, you know, the more focus social media is getting there, the more attention policymakers will have to give to the lawmaking. So that's starting to change.
One more question about, was it El Kul? Your project? You said that you're trying to bring young generation together so they can disseminate news. You are bringing people from different political perspectives so they can disseminate correct news. Is that the case?
Yes, it's well. What we're doing in El Kul is we're mostly focusing on youth, women, and disabilities and minorities. So even when we choose our trainees, we try to be as diverse as possible because Libya is a big country, and the cities are kind of far from each other. So we have like the far northeast and northwest and northeast, and then we have in the south. So these are the three regions of Libya. And when we choose the trainees, we try to choose them from these three different regions, so that when they create the news is kind of balanced politically and geographically also.
So, but you said you are looking for sponsors to activate this event. What happens if a sponsor says, don't publish this news on social media?
Obviously, we have sponsors. What happens is that I don't think it will happen. We make sure, as an independent company, we make sure that we have any content that goes on the website, not our website, on platforms that are. So the client comes to us and says, "Hey, I'm interested in having a platform that is relevant to this target group. Let's say, for example, between 15 and 35, relevant to them. Tell us where they are, which platforms we are on. In the case of Libya, for example, they are mostly on Facebook, maybe Instagram." So we tell them that, and then we agree on the topics, with the content, and if they say no, we'll have to we'll have to talk about it. It's obviously it's a two-way street. We have to engage in a conversation. Also, we make sure as an independent company that we have a say in any content that goes that we produce. Because we produce content as well. So we do social media promotions, social media marketing, but also social media content. So we user-generated content or in-house content. So yes, we have a say, but again, it's like everything else in life, you have to talk to your clients, and it's an ongoing conversation.
Do you think governments should be on social media?
Definitely, yeah.
Actually, there was a point on your question earlier about governments trying to ban social media. I think the beginning, on the appearance of social media, governments didn't really understand. So they started banning YouTube and banning Facebook, but now governments are competitors to the citizens on social media. So they think of it differently now. Okay, why ban it if I can, me as a government or an entity, I can express myself on social media. So yeah, I think governments are starting to realize the importance of social media, and I can see a lot of good work actually from different governments in Europe and in Africa, and I'm following a lot of pages. I can see they're doing live streams, they're doing Instagram, and they're creating stories in a different way on each platform according to the audience. So yeah.
Is BBC Media Action supporting governments to disseminate news?
At the moment, BBC Media Action is we have provided several trainings to the GNA government in Tripoli for media press officers. I was involved in the training, so we trained them on how to express themselves in press office, to write a press office release, and it's also how to engage the audience and how to create content, because how to create content that is tailored for social media. It's not traditional media, it's not TV, it's not, for example, sometimes they have a declaration and they just scan it and put it online, but while they can do it in a different way, in a nice graphic with big text, you know, telling people what's happening, if there's, I don't know, exams coming up, if there's a national holiday. So yeah, so it's...
this project was endorsed, is sponsored by the British government, and I would say that Western governments are starting to realize the potential of social media in the West, but also in the countries where they are spending it money on. So BBC Media Action is also funded by the British government, and they are supporting the national government,
yeah,
the
national accord, because that's the government that's recognized by the international, yeah.
So you see again, it says governments are, there is a competition for attention here. Everybody's trying to trade attention, and may the best man win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you also, when you lose, when you don't do as well, you learn from your mistake. And this is the good thing about social media, is that you can learn from what you've created, look at the numbers, and improve in the next campaign. Which is
that the case for crisis as well? What happens if there is a crisis on social media?
Then you need to have a code of a procedure for crisis, which is something that we are actually currently working on in our company. That sometimes maybe something can go rumors of competitors, of people who do not want you to do your work, and you spread the rumor. What do you do? How do you deal with it? Could also be that someone, by mistake, the wrong content went online. How to deal with it? It's very important for anyone, for whether it's a university here, or a private company, or a government. It's very important they have clear procedure of how to deal with the crisis, and also the editorial guidelines before any content goes online. Who should review it, and who should post it online.
Thank you very much for answering my questions. Do we have any questions from the audience? I think I asked them all, but we have a couple of questions.
Yes.
I think we have a question over there, if we can get our friend a microphone.
No.
Hello? My name is Rida Tribika. I'm also from Libya. And yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when I said make some noise, I was like, waiting for something like Libya!
Libya! You talked about Libya and Tunisia quite a lot. And aside from trying to raise awareness on the importance of social media, do you have any other end goals in these two countries?
As BBC Media Action. As BBC Media Action.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, BBC Media Action is not just raising awareness about social media, but it's actually, as I said, producing impartial and balanced news and content. Because if you're from Libya, so you're very familiar with the media in Libya and how TV channels and I mean, most of them are directed to either taking a side on political situation, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to spread this culture of balanced media, impartial news, and content that is diverse, talking about different regions in Libya, talking about different about both genders. You know, we're trying to make a balance between men and women, so gender equality. So it's this new media, or this impartial and balanced media that we're trying to, I don't know if I answered your question.
I'd like to add something, just so basically BBC Media Action is trying to change the world using social media. But let's remember as well that social media is a tool, it's not a goal per se. Maybe in a few years from now, social media would not exist, it will be something else, more advanced. So again, social media is a tool, social media is a new TV. Maybe after social media we'll have a better TV, who knows. But what we are advocating for here is using today's technology to make a positive impact on the ground, on people that we work with, and hopefully we'll make the world a better place.
Thank you. And you talked about you work with trainees. How would someone get involved in that program?
The program, we post an application on the Facebook page. You can apply from there. There's a lot of applications, so it's
in touch with you maybe.
Yeah. Why
Come
not?
talk to him.
Just see him after the
It's,
show.
but yeah, I mean, if you're involved in media, so I mean, you know, so the choice is it's based on somebody's media background, because most of the people who come, you know, they're interested in filming, interested in a couple of things. But yeah, why not?
What do you study here?
Economics.
That can be interesting as well. BBC Media Action, I come from a BBC background, so I like to talk about it. Just
please
BBC
hire our students.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Remember, BBC Media Action is such an interesting organization because it works at the intersection between media and development. Development meaning politics, economics, and the media. This is a mix. The mix is an exciting actually mix, and this is why I left UNESCO, a bureaucratic job at the United Nations, to work for BBC Media Action, because it's dynamic. The vibe there, you should come visit the office there in Tunisia. Is very young,
Tunisia,
tech-savvy everyone, trying to change the world. I mean, it sounds, as a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. We got a new office. It's not the one that you saw now. It's a very open space office, and we've merged with the Tunisia team. So it's now, it used to be Libya and Tunis office. Now it's Tunisia and Libya together, so it's North Africa office.
Do you have Lamborghinis outside?
No.
That's thank you very much. Any other question? We have a question there.
Hello?
I'll get one more question, and then we'll move on to the coffee break, and then to our next session.
Okay, yes.
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that social media is now opening more doors to democracy. And at the same time, you said that you think governments should be on social media. But I'm North African myself, I'm Egyptian, and you've mentioned that this is all going very well together. But if you take the case of Egypt, where social media was the reason the Arab Spring started, they started using social media to target social media activists and hunt them down. In that case, do you think social media is still democratic?
I'm not sure I agree with you that social media is what sparked the Arab Spring. Social media was a tool that frustrated young Egyptians used to gather and to make a change. Again, it's just a tool.
Yep.
It's a platform. But it could have been something else a few years ago. It will be something else in the future. Now, this is why for activists, and this is something actually that we do, the BBC Media Action do, is training activists, political activists, on how to safely, in a safe manner, use social media. You know, to protect your private data, to make sure that you don't get persecuted by the government or by someone else who might want to kill you or get you out of the way.
But if you believe that the government should be on social media, how am I going to be protected? They're right there watching me.
No, we were talking about the government should be on social media in terms of creating content.
Representing themselves.
You know, representing themselves. Now it's democratic, everybody should come there and say their version of the truth.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not saying, that is not to say that social media should be monitored by governments. Absolutely not.
Well, British government actually announced that they will be monitoring social media to prevent terrorism, which means they will be monitoring user details.
So, not really. There's a lot of different types of software that monitor hate speech or keywords that users use, just to understand that trends, to understand who is doing what. But I think Facebook takes privacy very seriously. But if they ever do that, then we should go out and we should protest. Should go to our local politicians, and tell them, I want to protect my data. Remember, data protection is very important. We should forget about. Who was the last question there?
Yeah, last question.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
My name is Khulud. I'm from Jordan.
Hi.
As organizers of the program of El Kol, are you planning to extend this program to the other part of the Middle East?
Well, BBC Media Action has offices in several countries. I think there's an office in Lebanon.
Lebanon, exactly.
Yeah, and they're working also on projects with the Syrian refugees, and they've had a lot of great projects. It's just a bit different. So each office kind of addresses a different issue. Yeah, different cause. So in the case of Libya, it's media. It's the freedom of speech and media. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a plan to extend. So now we have a lot of work in Libya. We're increasing our work in Tunisia. We're moving on to Algeria, Morocco, and covering the regions slowly. But yeah.
And then us, as well as a Stratcom strategic communications company, we are constantly looking for talent. We're constantly looking for trainees, and that will hopefully become colleagues to us. So please feel free to send me your CV, your resume, to have a look if you'd be interested in training and media, and social media, but most importantly, strategic communications, using the tool of the day. Yesterday it was TV, today social media, tomorrow might be something else. What matters is the storytelling, is the interesting story that you're telling.
You keep saying tomorrow might be something else. Do you know something we don't?
Do you know what
You said it like 3 times now, right?
Might be.
It's VR, right? VR.
It's VR, yeah.
Yeah, it's VR.
Well, it's FERAH. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation to be in
Thank you so much.
Cyprus.
It's been a pleasure.
Bring us here.
And I will keep you here for 2 more minutes to present you a memory from my university.
Awesome. Photos.
I honestly know how to
Thanks.
board.
It's the other way around, right?
You mind standing maybe between us?
Oh, yes, sure.
For our cameraman there.
Thank you very much for coming to EMU.
Thank you.